If you have been deep in your self-work since the ending of a last relationship, and you're finally starting to get to that point where you're like, do I feel like dating? Am I ready to date? And you're almost fighting yourself on a timeline that you should be single or should be giving yourself before you start dating, this episode is for you. Welcome to Lucid Living with Bree, the podcast helping women to heal from the mindfuck of confusing relationships and break out of those frustrating cycles so that you can step into your best self and attract and hold healthy love. I am your host, Bree Walta, relationship clarity coach and EFT certified practitioner. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the episode. Clients are coming to me initially when they can't fathom dating. They're very heartbroken over a painful, confusing relationship that didn't make any sense. They had their heart ripped out. They were maybe betrayed or lied to and can't make sense of how the person went from so good to so bad. And they're very much in that tender, wounded, I don't know how to move forward from here kind of place. And during our time together, they start to feel into the possibility of dating as they learn how to tend to their heart and tend to their wounds. And we really work on rebuilding their confidence. And as they get to that place, the first question that I hear is, how long do I need to be single for? And what my clients want from me is a very prescriptive 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months type of answer. And what I give them is what I'm going to give you in this episode. So I'm going to walk you through the 5 questions that you can ask yourself to see if you are ready, because one size is not going to fit all for people's specific situation. I don't believe that it matters if you were with somebody for 4 years that you need 2 years to heal. I don't know if you've heard that adage where you have to be single for half of the time that you were in the relationship in order to heal. In my experience, what matters more is how you're using that time. So if you are spending, let's say 2 years in this example, where you're not doing any self-work, you're not doing any introspection, you're not doing any trauma work, you aren't integrating the experience with your ex, you're going to be in the same position that you were 2 years before. So time in of itself doesn't heal wounds. It may help you dissociate. It may help you push the situation farther, but it doesn't heal it. It doesn't help it move out of your system. It just keeps it stagnant and sort of like a festering wound that's underneath a Band-Aid, but it's all rotten and infected and gonna be a problem later. So if we aren't looking at our relationship wounds, they're gonna move with us into every dynamic and every relationship, because we are relational beings. So it doesn't have to necessarily just be romantic relationships. We might bring some of this into our friendships, bring some of this into our family relationships, into our work relationships, especially if we've had our trust broken. It's going to be really, really hard to trust anybody, regardless if it's a romantic or platonic person in your life. So on the other hand, if you've been with somebody for 4 years and you get out of that relationship, you recognize the shitstorm that it was, you dive into making sense of what that was, how you were in that relationship, taking accountability, really recognizing your patterns, your behavior in relationships, what led you into that relationship in the first place. This is all work that I'm doing with my clients. And if you are doing that, you can transcend the bullshit in probably quicker than you would think. So there's so much hope in your healing, but it takes that intentional digging in there. And if you think about a wound, we have to take the time to look at that open, raw, tender wound and pour the hydrogen peroxide on it, put the Neosporin on it. And it's not a comfortable process in the beginning to really clean it out and help it be able to heal from the inside out. So doing your introspective healing is not always the most beautiful experience. There are likely a lot of tears, but if you are held in a safe space while you're doing that, it is so worth putting in that work now so that you can move into healthy relationships without all the baggage from your past. Because I promise you that baggage is going to come out of the suitcase in one way or the other, and you want to be more aware of what's in the suitcase to begin with. So, we're going to explore the questions that you can ask yourself to find out if you're ready to start dating. So the first question is, why? Why? Why do you want to date? What's the intention? Do you want to date because you hate being alone? Or do you want to date because you want to explore new people? If you can ask yourself these questions honestly and not bullshit yourself so that you're just kicking the can down the line of when you actually have to look at this shit, it's going to serve you in the long run. So if you're going into dating with the intention of, I feel lonely and I need somebody to make me feel okay, that's going into dating from a transactional place, right? I'm going to date you so that you give me this. And that's already starting the dating off, or starting the relationship off as shit, I guess is what I'm trying to say unconsciously. So you want to go into dating from a place of, I am so thrilled with myself as a single person and my life that I feel like I can give myself into another person and see where this will go. And not give yourself in like a codependent enmeshed way, but like a honest, my cup is overflowing and I want to offer myself to somebody else. And coming from that place of not neediness, it takes a lot of the pressure off of that next date being the one, right? It's like you can approach dating with, oh, I'm going to meet this cool person and see where it goes. Maybe we'll date. Maybe we'll be friends. Maybe he'll be an idiot and I don't want to talk to him again. It's lowering the pressure and the expectations because you're okay. You're okay where you are, and you can still want connection and commitment and companionship, but you don't need it in a way that will make you lose yourself in order to get it. So asking yourself, why? Why? Why do I want to do this with honesty? The second question you can ask yourself is, what do I feel in my body when I think about dating? So do you get that panic pit in your stomach or the lump in your throat? Or do you have this sort of like excited, expanded energy? Does it feel like something you want to move towards, or something that you're almost like either trying to move so fast towards that you don't have to feel the feeling, or something that you are totally avoiding? So recognizing the feeling in your body. Our bodies hold so much wisdom. And when we can get curious about that sensation and use that in order to unpack a little bit more of what's around the question that we're asking, so much clarity will come. So if you're feeling in your body this panic, like, oh, I need it. I need this person because, again, I don't want to sit with these emotions. I don't want to be in this alone space. That's not a great energy to take into dating. Versus, oh, I'm feeling kind of a little bit nervous, but mostly excited and wanting, like I'm really looking forward to this cocktail with this person because I want to see who they're about. That's a different energy that you're taking into the dynamic, the exchange. So what do you feel in your body around dating? Sometimes people who have been really hurt in relationships have like a wall, a guard, and they can't really feel anything around dating, or they feel intense fear. So it's also something to be aware of and to work with, right? It might not be yet the time to go into dating if you can't move past that fear or get to know that fear a little bit better. And that doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It just means that you need a little bit more time in working through the traumas or the wounding that happened in the last relationship or maybe the last several relationships. The third question that you can ask yourself is, do I feel confident to stand behind my values and non-negotiables, even if he's hot, okay? Even if he is tall, dark, and handsome and has money and wants to take you on trips, but you share no values and he has a few of your non-negotiables, do you feel confident in walking away? So walking through how to find your values, your needs, your wants, your non-negotiables, I actually have a self-guided course called Find Yourself Again that I'll link in the show notes. And this is also an exercise that I take my clients through in my longer program to really understand how we're choosing people. Because if we're choosing people based on the want, right? You want them to have money, you want them to take you on a nice vacation, you want them to be tall, then we are blinded and we're confused then why 2 months down the road we have nothing to talk about and we don't like sharing time together. So if we can pick people based on our values, and we can have those fun things in there too, but the values have to be there. The values and the non-negotiables. So let's say that one of your non-negotiables is honesty, right? You need the person to be honest, to be in integrity with their actions and their words. And let's say after a couple of dates, he doesn't show up when he says he's going to show up. Maybe he changed plans on you last minute. You're feeling confused, but he's really hot and he has all these other cool things. Do you trust yourself to hold yourself accountable and be like, I don't like the way that you're treating me? And either having that conversation with him and seeing what comes of that, or saying goodbye. So we make these lists of our values and our needs and our wants when we're sober. That's a big piece of this. You're not making your list while you're starting to date the person, because that skews the list. And I use the word sober because in the beginning of a relationship, we have so many chemicals that are firing in our brain. And it doesn't have to be love bombing in order for that to happen. But any beginning of a relationship is exciting. It's euphoric to some extent because you're getting to know somebody. It's new. A lot of attention is placed on each other. You're really focusing on getting to know each other. So your dopamine is fired, okay, amongst other chemicals in your brain to try to get you to connect and to attach. So you make these lists when you're sober so that you can take your experience and bounce it off the list in order to keep yourself in integrity and hold yourself in that honest place. So do you feel confident to stand behind your values and your non-negotiables, even if they are hot, or insert other thing that is really appealing to you? Number 4 is, do I trust myself to be honest and hold myself accountable with close friends and family? So we keep secrets in isolation. We keep secrets because we feel shame or embarrassment about something that we're doing. So if you are moving into dating from a very clear, intentional place of, yeah, I feel ready for this, I feel like I can put the work that I've done into practice, then you should feel open telling that to your friends and family. And perhaps there are conversations that need to happen to fill your friends and family in on how far your healing journey has taken you, because they might be very protective of you based on your past experience. And they might have a certain understanding of you in relationship after relationship after relationship. And if you've really done some work and know you are shifting and you are holding boundaries and you have the confidence now to do things differently, sometimes they need to be let in on that information. So having a really vulnerable conversation and say, hey, I totally understand why you're feeling protective of me, and here's how I see this and where I've been and what I've been doing. So that might potentially open up the space for you to feel comfortable talking to your people. But in general, we want you to have people around you that can support this process and to be your accountability buddies. So using your people, we want our safe people to be in on our experience, to be able to support us through these vulnerable new, I call them Bambi legs, when you're trying to stand up in dating after not dating for a while or being really hurt by somebody. It's oh, it's a little wobbly. It's a little messy. I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't look great. You might go through a couple of dates where you're like, oof, not doing that again. But you're learning as you go. And we want our people in our corner as we're doing those new and vulnerable things to make us feel more safe and hold us accountable for things that you might not see that you're doing. And the 5th and final question is, what boundaries do I need to set for myself around dating? So yeah, boundaries come into play here. Well, let me give you some examples of what boundaries can look like. So if you are not looking for a partner, but you're looking for a hookup, you're looking to explore your sexuality, is there a boundary that you're only having one night stands, one night sexual experiences, and you're not going on trips with the person after 2 weeks? Is there a boundary where you only go to their house to hook up? You don't bring people over to your house because you want to keep that as your safe space. Or the opposite, is hooking up kind of a pattern of yours? So you need to set a boundary that you're not going to have sex until you build trust with that person. Because when you have sex too early, it makes you feel unsafe and too vulnerable. And all of your inner parts that have gotten hurt in the past are like flaring up and freaking out. So identifying what those boundaries are. Perhaps it's even how you engage on the apps. So maybe you have a tendency to really fall into the doom scrolling and spending like 3 hours at work on Tinder and not knowing how that happened. So do you need to set a boundary that you only spend 1 hour on the apps? Identifying the places, the things you need to put in place in order for dating to feel fun. We don't want you to get exhausted. We don't want you to revert back into your patterns. This is another way of you holding yourself accountable as you're moving into dating. And similarly to the values and the non-negotiables list, like make your boundaries before you start dating, okay? So in general, with all of these questions, it's really to just help you better identify where you are and what you're thinking as you're going into dating. So being fully healed is not a thing, ever, right? We're never fully healed. We're always still cooking. We're always still unpeeling layers of shit that come up in different ways with different people in different situations. So you're never going to be perfect. And just acknowledging that and accepting that you are a work in progress always, will remove so much pressure from what you think you need to be in order to be in a relationship. Because I will tell you that relationship wounds will continue to heal in relationship. So you can get to a point with your therapist or your coach where you're like, I think I'm good. Like, I don't think this betrayal with my narcissistic ex is an issue anymore. Like, I can talk about it pretty clearly. I don't get really emotional. It doesn't affect my conscious thought day to day. I'm not really dreaming about it anymore. And then you might get into a relationship where you have to communicate something that feels similar to how you had to communicate it in your last relationship, and it might trigger that wound like no one's business, okay? And I'm speaking from experience here because we don't know, we can't predict all of the ways that we're going to get triggered from our past. So going into a relationship opens you up to heal certain wounds that can only be healed in relationship. So we're only going to get triggered in that specific way in relationship with another person, and specifically in relationship with another person that we care about, that we're closely attaching to, right? Our primary attachment. So being prepared for that and knowing that going into a new relationship, if you have the tools to be able to navigate your emotions, to be able to understand your feelings, to be able to articulate what's happening for you, for yourself first, and then to your partner so that you can have communication and potentially resolve if it caused some sort of rift. Those are the tools that we work on before you get into a relationship. Those are the things that you are really honing so that when you're in those triggering situations, you know what to do and you're not sort of caught off guard and flailing and not knowing how to take care of yourself. So really putting the emphasis in your healing work on, do I understand what's happening with my triggers and my traumas and my wounding and myself and my patterns and how I show up and my tendencies? That's the work. We want to get you to the point where you have a good toolkit and you are able to steer clear of potential bad situations or red flags. Okay? So if you have that confidence in yourself and the respect for yourself to say, I know this is what I want, I've come a long way. I don't want to fuck around anymore. I'm not going to settle, even if that means dating for a little while to find the right person that's going to fit. That's going to help you not settle, not go into those relationships and be like, okay, I guess I'm here again. And I guess I'm with this person who isn't emotionally mature and can't have conversations. And I feel this familiar aloneness and hopelessness in my relationship. That's what we want to avoid. So you are on your way. You are so on your way. And I'm excited for you to do this inner work to be able to better understand where you are, how you're entering into this dating experience. So just to recap the questions. Number 1, why do I want to date? What's my intention? Number 2, what do I feel in my body around dating? Do I feel more panic, more excitement, fear? What am I feeling? Number 3, do I feel confident to stand behind my values and my non-negotiables, even if he's hot? Number 4, do I trust myself to hold myself accountable with close friends and family? Do I have my support system? And number 5, what boundaries do I need to set for myself going into dating? So take some time. Take some time with these questions and really give yourself that gift. I promise it will pay off. To end these episodes, we always pull an oracle card. And this is a specific message intended for you that you can take forward this week as you are doing your journaling or, well, there it is, thinking about dating. So these cards have a picture and then a message, which I'll read to you. So the picture that came out was the Destroyer, which is a picture of a dog's head. And let's see what the Destroyer has to say. The Destroyer visits you to acknowledge the ending. Perhaps it's the end of a relationship, a job, or a dream. The Destroyer signals you that it is okay and right to let go, to grieve the loss and look towards new beginnings. Destruction is knowing life's natural cycle and accepting that death is necessary for growth and renewal. Time to let go. It's over. Allow the end to come. Sense into the completion. Embrace it. Endings are as important as beginnings. Spring always follows winter. Be aware of your inner Destroyer, the little voice in your head that sabotages you, the one that would have you believe that you can't fully live, create, dream, or succeed. Although it may have once protected you, it's time to recognize that this type of destruction no longer serves you. Thank it for its work and release it. So take that message with you as you move forward this week in your healing. And if you're like, oh my God, I think I need to do more healing, I'm not sure where to start, there is another episode, episode 4, that's called The 5 Things That You Need to Heal in Order to Have a Healthy Relationship After a Toxic One. Highly recommend you give a listen and always reach out. I'm here to support you. So until next time.